You're a traditional investor. You buy stocks, you buy bonds, you buy property, and you hear all this noise around Bitcoin. You see a chart like this, and you might be thinking, maybe this party is already over. Is there maybe an opportunity that's not directly in Bitcoin, but in Bitcoin mining stocks? In this video, we are going to look at Bitcoin mining stocks' performance relative to Bitcoin. Because obviously we do have Bitcoin risk, Bitcoin price risk in Bitcoin mining stocks, but we want to get more performance, right? Probably owning stocks related to Bitcoin mining is more risky than owning Bitcoin outright, because you've got all the risk regarding management, is the execution well, maybe also regulatory risk if the miner is centered around one specific country. So you want to see outperformance versus Bitcoin, right? You take on more risk than buying Bitcoin. You want to see more performance than Bitcoin. So let's look at this. Let's look at the Bitcoin mining stocks performance relative to Bitcoin historically. How many did outperform? How many did underperform? Does it make sense to buy Bitcoin mining stocks? The stocks we are going to look at are simply the first results of a Google search. Hut8 Mining, Riot Blockchain, Marathon Digital, Bitfarms, Cypher Mining, Hive Blockchain, Canaan Creative, ClearSpark, and Core Scientific. Again, this is the Bitcoin chart. And here we've got Hut8 Mining divided by the Bitcoin price. So this chart starts in March of 2018 and unfortunately underperformed, holding just pure Bitcoin by 82%. Let's get to Riot Blockchain. This starts in April of 2016 all the way to today, an underperformance of 95%. So had you bought Bitcoin outright compared to just buying this particular stock, you'd have 20 times more the capital now. What about Marathon Digital? Maybe now we get a winner. Not so fast. When we look at that relative performance, we get a rounding error and it tells us minus 100%. You lost all your capital, at least relatively speaking. So far, this looks all very bleak. Why can't the miners outperform just buying and holding Bitcoin? Now, first of all, Bitcoin itself went up a lot. But secondly, in general, Bitcoin miners have to stay very, very competitive. More and more hash power joins the network. The hash rate is increasing very, very rapidly. And at the same time, you get the halving, right? Every 4 years, there's less and less Bitcoin that hits the market. So you really, really have to be on top of the game. You have to be part of the top miners, get electricity incredibly cheap in order to make a profit. And it can't just be any profit, it has to be profit exceeding just holding Bitcoin. Let's continue. Bitfarms Limited. Minus 62% relative to Bitcoin since August of 2019. Cypher Mining, minus 77% since December of 2020. How about Hive Blockchain? Since September of 2017 to today, minus 93% roughly. 6 mining stocks, all of them underperformed. It doesn't take a math genius here to determine whether or not Bitcoin mining stocks are better or worse than just holding Bitcoin itself. You take on more risk and you get less performance. Now we're going to look at these other 3 stocks here as well, but we'll also look at Bitcoin related businesses. For example, Jack Dorsey's Square or PayPal that integrates with crypto. So 3 more mining stocks and 2 more Bitcoin related businesses. Let's go through the mining stocks quickly. Canaan, CleanSpark, and Core Scientific. This is Canaan, minus 95. This is CleanSpark, minus 99.9. And this is Core Scientific, minus 90. Now let's not leave out MicroStrategy. This is MicroStrategy since purchase of the Bitcoin. Also didn't outperform necessarily, but can somewhat keep pace. Here is Square or Block by Jack Dorsey, minus 96%. And here is PayPal, also just on the way down. Actually, there are several opportunities depending on how fancy you want to make it. The fanciest opportunity here is to simply short the Bitcoin miners, bet on falling prices of Bitcoin miners, and at the same time buy Bitcoin. So you're betting on this delta to further increase. Of course, the Bitcoin miners will go up in price when the Bitcoin price goes up. That's why you have to hedge against by holding Bitcoin. But if your thesis is that the Bitcoin miners continue to underperform just buying and holding Bitcoin, and so far we've seen this with every single of those stocks, then this should be a relatively safe bet if if your financing costs of that short, of the Bitcoin miner short, aren't too high. So make sure that this is still aligned. So that's the fancy way to make money with this. Short Bitcoin miners and at the same time buy Bitcoin, bet on the spread to further expand. Now there's another simpler way with making money with Bitcoin on the traditional market, and that's the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Now there's all this talk around a Bitcoin spot ETF approval. Now because we didn't have or still don't have a Bitcoin spot ETF, there were people that were smart enough to build proxies for Bitcoin for traditional finance. So there was Grayscale that opened up a trust that bought a lot of Bitcoin spot and that then issued shares in that trust as a proxy to Bitcoin. Now you can't redeem a share to Bitcoin directly, and that's why we saw a discrepancy between the underlying net asset value of that trust versus the Bitcoin holdings. Now Grayscale applied for a conversion of that trust into an ETF. So very likely once we see the Bitcoin spot ETF approval, we will also see an approval of that conversion. That would mean that all of the net asset value in the trust can convert directly into spot value of Bitcoin. That means that the discount we currently see on the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust on GBTC will go to zero. Currently, we've got a discount of 12%, which is narrowing further and further by the week because of the approaching Bitcoin ETF approval. So that's a simple way. Instead of just buying spot Bitcoin, if you're betting on the ETF approval, buy GBTC, and at some point this will become zero. You get an additional 12% of Bitcoin by buying this here on the discount. There are opportunities in traditional finance if you just know how to play the game. Just don't make the stupid mistake to buy things that underperform. Don't buy the crypto miners. Instead, join a community of like-minded individuals. Feel free to join our Telegram, link is down below.